Welcome back to the Gunn Show, my friends. I appreciate you. This is 2025, and there are some changes that have been made. In fact, if you've been watching this podcast so far, you may have seen some filming on a rooftop pool. You may have seen some digital episodes. You may have seen some at a trade show in India. You may have seen them all over the place. In fact, I think we even had a beach one already. Anyway, we are unplugged, and although this sign behind me that you'll see in a minute still says the VIP edition, we're upgrading our studio right now. I have to make a joke about that. We are unplugged in 2025, but we are in the studio today back in South Florida. What's really cool about being unplugged is if you want to join me for a podcast, you can do that from anywhere. The comfort of your couch. We can go to a trade show, a factory, a booth, whatever you want. It's up to you. Or you can fly down to Florida and join me in the studio like the two young men I have with me today. If you have joined us through, let's say, Google, and you're like, dude, a gun show? That must be about muscles. Well, Christian has muscles. He's our director over here, making sure we don't look foolish. He has a ton of muscles. And if you joined us because of guns, like actual, like, yeah, that's terrible sound effects as well. I'm going to need Christian's help on that. In fact, I want my editing team to make that sound good. I apologize, though. We might talk about guns, but it's not what the show is about. But we want you to stay, and I hope you stay, because this show is fun. What do we talk about here? We are humanizing manufacturing on this show. The Gun Show is about making everything around us, how it's made, who is making it, and we want to connect with an audience out there that wants to be educated on manufacturing, of course, but also an audience that never really paid attention to how their phone was made, or their TV, or their car, or the plane that they travel around on, or maybe some of that space stuff up there that makes your interweb work, or your TikTok dances. I don't know, but it's all done through manufacturing, touched one way or another. We are the Kevin Bacon of the world. We are 7 degrees away from damn near everything, except for maybe a human and some air and some plants, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let's get started with the Gun Show and introduce my two guests. I got Felix, I got Scott. We are talking Liebherr. We are talking gear making machines, although if you've heard that name before, you might also know about refrigerators or some of the other parts that they do in other areas of the world. German-based company and brilliant. But first, we're going to start with Felix. He's done this with me before, so we're going to get Scott's nerves out of the way. We're going to let Felix go first. We have to know more about their story because I'm sick and tired of the stereotypical dull, dirty, dangerous. I don't want to get into manufacturing. Ew, you're just a bunch of dummies that couldn't go to college. Yeah, that's not what it is. There are valedictorians that have chosen this field, engineers that make the world go round, but I want you to get to know their personalities so maybe you want to connect and help make the world a better place like we're trying to do. Felix, thank you for being here. You're now a pro, right?
Sure. Thanks for having us in the sunshine state of Florida.
Yeah, you warmed up. You came from Michigan, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And nice change.
And when this podcast comes out, we might know this answer, but you're cheering for the Lions?
Absolutely. Go Lions.
Hey, well, I hope that comes to fruition as this podcast will be released in a few weeks. Let's hope we manifested something powerful.
This year's the year.
So speaking of football and speaking of getting to know you, I heard a rumor, a little birdie told me that you actually love, even though you're of German descent, living here in the U.S., and I would have guessed soccer football, but you like American football, and you almost were a pro at American football, right? Semi-pro. Well, how tall are you?
5'9".
5'9"?
Yeah.
And 220 pounds in your heyday, right?
At the time.
I'm going to leave a pause right now for all of you folks out there to put in the comments section what position you think Felix played at 5'9", 220. All right, did you leave it in there? Felix, what position did you play?
Outside linebacker.
Outside? Are you kidding me? He would get crushed over here, I think. Crushed!
Probably. Different size in Germany.
I'm 5'8", and I never thought about that. I was like, put me at kicker, please. Put me at and that's actually, I played wide receiver and kicker.
Okay.
Yeah. I did score a lot of touchdowns and kicked a lot of field goals, but I also got cracked.
I like the other side of the line.
You like to hurt people?
A little bit.
Is that what makes you stress-free?
No. Maybe back then it did.
You like to hit people.
No, it was good. I like defense. Different mentality. It was nice to see the ball off the other side of the line. It was good.
Something else I know about you, and I want to hear your full journey in just a minute. You grew up in a household that was pretty acceptance of travel.
Absolutely,
and understand the world. And at 22 years old, you were brave enough to jump the pond from Europe to the U.S. No friends, no family over here, none of that, and to start from scratch and hop into the world that you're currently in.
Yep.
And I don't want to fast forward, but I want the audience to kind of understand the type of human being they're getting ready to hear from. A brave, courageous, authentic type of person who's brilliant and crushed people on the football field. So please, Felix, don't let me steal any more of your thunder. Tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
I mean, I was fortunate enough that I grew up in a family that was open and willing to travel, and my parents, my mom, my grandparents, they traveled quite a bit, and I think I was 2 years old when I was flying the first time, and ever since we traveled a few times a year to different parts of the world, and always was taught to be open for new cultures, new mentalities, new languages, and just experience, what the world brings with it, and then eventually. Once I finished school, I went through a few internships and always thought I'm going to be in some kind of a office environment, but I like to get my hands dirty. And did an internship with Liebherr and a couple other local companies in my hometown, Kempten, just 1.5 hours southwest of Munich, close to the Alps.
Beautiful area.
And once I got the offer from Liebherr to start my apprenticeship at Liebherr, I knew where I'm going to work because that was, a great company. It's the best, in my opinion, one of the best employers in the area. Provides a first-class apprenticeship program for electricians, mechanics, technical drawers, some other admin positions. And I started my apprenticeship to industrial mechanic in Kempten at Liebherr and started filing my use deal.
Yeah?
Yeah, first 6 weeks we filed use deal. That's what it was. Was good experience, and then eventually when I finished my apprenticeship, I was again fortunate enough to get a position in our testing department. So it was part of developing, testing our products, showing customers of what quality we can achieve on our machines, developing a few features that are still used on our machines. I mean, it's been 16 years ago since I started at Liebherr.
Wow.
So it was nice. But during that time, I always knew I wanted to experience something else. And then the opportunity to move to the US came up. And I actually started as a service engineer in the US. It was the only way back then to move to a different country. And I always was playing football, connected somehow to the US. Was fortunate enough as part of my apprenticeship to be a few weeks in the US and dip my feet here in the US and that different culture, different mentality, different market. And moved to the US in 2015 and don't look back at all.
Wow. Not just a pretty face.
Nope.
You got some brains behind there too, working on those machines, and not just a sales guy, right? And I don't mean that to all my sales friends out there. That not just. I mean, sales guys we're necessary and clever and smart as well. But a lot of times, some of the best salespeople do come from the world of being able to understand how these machines work and run, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I don't see myself as a sales guy. I mean, being now in charge of Liebherr Gear and Automation Technologies in North America. You guys know, some of you guys have seen the previous videos. We opened the office in Mexico. I wear different hats. It's customer support. That's what it is. I'm trying to really build this customer-centric organization. It's about customer support, being there for our customers. So it's sales, service. It's customer support. That's what it is.
That's a great way to describe it. And we're going to slide over to Scott. Scott, you're younger and better looking than both of us.
About the same height, though.
None of us grew past that certain height range. But I want to learn more about your story as well. And I want to, we'll, after we hear this, we're going to come back and talk more about, gears and the machines and the importance of how these are made. It's artwork to me. And obviously you guys have both dedicated a large portion of your lives to understanding how to make this process easier, better for everyone out there. But I have to hear about your journey. I know you're a huge soccer fan. Unfortunately, you like Barcelona, but we'll still accept you for that. I know you're a huge Lionel Messi fan, and you've actually purchased tickets to go see Inter Miami play, and you even ripped apart your leg as part of your career. Yeah. But let's talk about your journey.
Not so famous. My soccer career is not quite famous, but I did enjoy playing when I was a kid. But I grew up in southwestern Pennsylvania, a little bit south of Pittsburgh is where I'm from. And I grew up in a rural town. And I was always around, my dad had a little hobby farm with beef cattle, and I was always around farming equipment. And I liked math and science when I was a kid, so I went to study mechanical engineering, and that was what my degree is in. And but my dad's a machinist, by by trade. The hobby farm was something we did always at home. And I was always around metal cutting. It was always kind of interesting to me. But, as a mechanical engineer, it's a pretty broad field when I was a kid getting into it. You can do, thermodynamics, there's heat transfer, there's big parts of engineering, which, it's a pretty broad degree you can use. But I had a co-op assignment in southwestern New York at a company, and I had a term in performance engineering, one in design engineering, and one in manufacturing. And I always kind of liked the manufacturing. I was in the shop making chips, measuring tool wear, so my career went in that direction in manufacturing and around metal cutting. And, I could bounce ideas off my dad all the time. So that's how I started in it and got into the gears quite by accident. The first job I took out of school as a manufacturing engineer was in a shop where we made gears. So I did some gear shaping and things like that. I started in the 90s, and I really enjoyed it. And I've always been around it. I was 10 years as a manufacturing engineer in industry, and then I joined Liebherr in 2007 in sales. And I had some good advisors. I was lucky along the way to run into good people who taught me a lot of things. And one of my mentors told me, you could try sales. If you don't like it at a place like Liebherr, you can always do application engineering. So it was pretty safe, but I've really enjoyed sales, and I've really enjoyed seeing different gear cutting applications because I like it. So
yeah.
So that's in a nutshell how I started into it.
Well, I for people who know me, my brain is an absolute mess, and I'm always putting pieces of conversations together, and I have so many other follow-ups to go along with that. The first thing I think of is you grow up, hobby farm, right?
Yeah.
And my parents taught me never pick a fight with a brick mason or a farmer because they're way stronger than you, for sure. And another thing that you said just a second ago was that you liked math and science. Oh, you were that nerdy kid, huh?
Yeah, I was definitely a nerd.
you,
no question.
You were that kid.
No question.
While the rest of us are running around just trying to pass classes, you're like, give me the numbers and the science.
And I'm still a nerd. But okay.
Hey there, manufacturers. Need to sell your surplus CNC machinery? Whether it's vertical machining centers, CNC lathes, or machines from top brands like Yazda, Matsur, or Watchon, let me introduce you to Revelation Machinery. If you've never worked with a used machinery dealer before, here's what you're missing. Selling equipment on your own can mean long waits, low offers, and lots of time chasing leads. Revelation Machinery changes the game, bringing nationwide exposure to your machines. Their team is located across the USA, so wherever you are, you've got a local expert on your side. Revelation doesn't just list your equipment, they use targeted marketing methods to get your machines in front of serious buyers. Revelation Machinery is committed to fair pricing, full transparency, and taking care of the details. From paperwork to logistics and even rigging if you need it, they're there every step of the way so you're not juggling any part of the process alone. Ready to let a trusted partner handle the heavy lifting? Head to revelationmachinery.com/The Gunn Show to see how easy it is to turn that surplus machinery into cash with Revelation Machinery. And then let's move into gears themselves because you guys both have a passion for it. And in my machining career, I worked in precious metals, I worked in woodworking, and I helped do some pipe type stuff and radiator coils and things like that. I never had the opportunity to get into the artistic talent of what it takes to make a gear and the simultaneous movement and how difficult that must have been before some of the new machines that you guys have to really make a perfected gear.
It's different.
What's that like?
It's different. It's still metal cutting, though.
It is still metal cutting.
It's still science. In the 60s and 70s, and people had the older mechanically linked machines. It looked like art or whatever, but it's still very much science. It's still, you have a rake angle on a cutting tool, and you have a cutting speed, a feed rate, and depth of cut. But I think what makes gear cutting different, as you mentioned, the tool is rotating together with the work, is that you don't have a constant depth of cut. Like on turning, you have a depth of cut, and you can easily compare process.
It's almost 2D, just plow through it.
Yeah, but we have a chip thickness which is changing. So to make a gear, you might think of it like the workpiece is like a cylinder of putty, and you roll it against a rack, and you create an involute profile. 98% of the world's gears are involute profile because they're center distance deviation independent. So it still functions with a constant velocity with the two mating components, no matter what center distance you have. So when you fix a transmission with two gears on centers, it can vary a little bit and runs perfect with a constant velocity on both members. So to generate that, you think of it like a cylinder of putty, you roll it against a rack. So like a hob cutting tool is a straight rack. And then as the tool sweeps through the work, it's creating an involute profile. And that's what makes it different, But there are ways to estimate the chip thickness so that you can compare process A to B with a metal removal rate. But that's what's different about gear cutting, is that you're creating this involute profile by generating action.
I love nerding out with you, Scott. I can already tell this is awesome.
This is probably too deep.
Not at all. No, this is perfect. I am loving this, honestly. But I have to ask Christian, so get your microphone ready, Christian. When I'm working with these guys, and I understand the importance, but when you think of gears, just manufacturing gears all day, every day, or companies dedicated to supporting people who make gears all day, every day, in your mind, when you hear gear cutting, what importance do you think that gears really are in your day-to-day life?
Like physical gears?
Just gears, yeah, things that make things turn and work. And
I mean, after producing the show for the last however long, I mean, I know how important
you got the cheat code now,
They're
huh?
probably tied into every single thing we use.
Yeah.
Phones, everything. Yeah, super important to make everything work.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to not realize that, but I forgot we've worked together for a year now. Had I asked you a year ago, you'd be like, it doesn't matter.
Like, here, yeah.
So I bring that up, actually expecting Christian to be like, not that important. I don't understand why a company would dedicate their lives to gears, but he didn't. He's gotten smarter over the year. I like that very much, Christian. Felix, let's talk about, just for fun, highlight all the places where gears show up in our lives, just to kind of show the importance of what it is we do.
I mean, most of us drive with a car to work. Every car needs gears. Airplanes need gears. Ships have gears. Most mechanical processes have gears. I mean, you have gears in anything that you use on a daily business.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
it
everywhere.
really is everywhere.
Yeah.
Probably even gears in that broken plane that's behind you on there.
Yep.
At some point. I think even when you go through toy stores, the kids are working with something that makes the gears spin, right? And when I was at the Scott, you've been to the American Precision Museum. Have you been yet, Felix?
Nope.
We got to get him there, first of all. You would nerd out with us, for sure.
Part of Vermont is rural and also beautiful, too. So.
Yeah. So you've went to the American Precision Museum. Did you see all throughout the ceiling, all the gears that ran all of those machines?
Yeah, I mean, the joke we always say in the American Gear Manufacturers Association is anything that moves needs a gear. And it's almost entirely true. Even, nowadays with electric cars, you think it's direct drive, it's just a motor directly on a wheel. You need torque. And so, you could do that in a car, but it would be this big, heavy motor where you had to take a lot of heat out. So to easily transmit torque, you have a gear ratio, and then even a Tesla has a gearbox in it. So nearly everything that moves needs a gear to transmit torque.
I like that you described that as well, and I think Christian has a Tesla, so he's going to go pop his hood open and see if there's gears in there right after this, I'm sure.
Not easy, but
But I like how you described that. I'd like to continue on that topic if it's okay. It's just the fact that the ratio of how these gears work have changed throughout the years as well. Instead of it just being, two circles that have, intertwined with each other and they spin at the same speed, there's different sizes, there's different strengths, and that goes into, as you just kind of described cars, it would be too heavy. Let's nerd out again. Can we nerd out again about gears?
We have Scott here, for sure.
That's why you brought him along, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We came for the beautiful scenery of the beaches, to hang out with Christian a little bit.
We can talk a little bit.
Yeah. Well, American football.
Scott is here for all the technical stuff.
Yes, I love it. Let's nerd out, Scott.
No, I mean, there's all different kinds of gears. That's right. And they have evolved over time. There's planetary sets in nearly everything nowadays. It's all different applications. It's an engineer's challenge, how they apply the different gearboxes to the different types of movement they have to translate and torque that they have to translate. So, there's everything we produce at Liebherr, our gear cutting machines, are around parallel axis gears which have axes parallel to one another. But there's also, even in parallel axis gear cutting or cylindrical gears, you have worms and worm wheels. That's another type of gearing. There's also bevel gears. So there's, many different applications. But like I said, the idea is that a designer, an engineer's challenge, a mechanical engineer's challenge, is to design something that transmits torque and power. And that's where the gears come into play.
I want to, absolutely correct, but I want to switch gears. Haha. Wait, everyone watch Family Guy? That grinds my gears. The gears are everywhere. They're in comedy. We're going to switch gears. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Liebherr family. Felix, you mentioned upon your journey, something that stuck out to me that I think we could do better at here in the U.S. and probably many places around the world, but certainly Germany, and I would probably say Japan as well, are great leaders in apprenticeships. Yep. This is what I think of. And when you talked about your journey, you said, I went through an apprenticeship, I did these things, came over to the U.S., been here 16 years, I believe you said, with Liebherr as a whole. Yep, as a whole. But apprenticeship program is something that we oftentimes skip over. Or maybe we'll get a year or two of trades. Some of them are even shorter than that before we get to work. And to be fair, I would make the discussion, and again, leave this in the comments if I'm incorrect, folks, but I would say the best American companies or companies in America that have that type of practice are actually German companies that have relocated here to kind of mirror as best as they can. And I've been over to Germany so many times and been through so many factories, and I've seen apprenticeship programs with hundreds of kids, not 6 like we have here in the U.S., but hundreds of kids. So I want to talk about the importance of apprenticeship because you've been through it, but also something else we're trying to really do here in the U.S. is kind of shine a spotlight on the importance of manufacturing as a whole. When our parents think about what we're proud of our children doing, we think of a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist or these types of things that make good money. But manufacturing touches everything. And at one time before we sent everything overseas, it was probably the most sought after career that you could go for. And people were proud to say, my son, my daughter is in manufacturing, a machinist. They're making all the stuff around us. So I kind of want to do both of these things because in Germany, you guys are honored. I mean, every third person, I think, is some form of an engineer over there. You guys are so brilliant. And you do focus on the apprenticeship program, which allows people the opportunity to get to know that side of the world as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Liebherr family, 3rd generation now, founded by Mr. Hans Liebherr. This is one of the core values that we have. We do the best in everything we do, highest quality in everything we do. And it starts with skilled labor, skilled trades to do all that. And I mean, you talked earlier about toys. Someone has to manufacture these toys. And you need to have the skills to manufacture these toys that the kids are playing with, because that's the first set of manufactured parts that usually you get in touch with. And like Scott mentioned with movement, I mean, everything moves, and these little cars, they have little gears to move their axles. And yeah, it's just great and important that you teach. In Germany, it's very important for these corporations, for these companies, that we have the skilled labor and teach them of how we build these machines, how we build the components. And part of my apprenticeship, the first year, we learned every basic skill over filing a U-steel, over drilling, over tapping, over milling, over turning. Not just the practical part of it, but also the theory, what's behind it, how to calculate the cutting speeds and all that stuff. And it's important to understand that, what it takes to manufacture a part that is needed for a whole parts assembly. And then, I mean, gear cutting, creme de la creme. Gears are special. Not many people are in the gear world. But I think that's really the highest level of manufacturing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Felix, when you say starting with a file, like that to me, especially as an engineer, that's what we somehow should learn from the Germans. You really need to start with the basics for any kind of scientific-based, vocation, because the file is basically, there's a rake angle, and you start with metal removal with chips with a file. And had I known that this is what I was going to do with my career, like many people, sometimes you get into things by accident. Yeah. I wish I would have spent more time around a Votech school, as a boy. I had the maths and sciences, so you didn't have time to go to the Votech school and do trades. And my mother luckily worked she was a teacher at a Votech school, so I got to spend some time with the metal cutting guys, the machinists. But, the Germans are really good at that. Yeah. They really train people for manufacturing, and that's how the products end up being so good.
And it starts with the basics.
Yeah, it really does. And I think we as Americans need to look to our past a little bit sometimes and how we were really doing those things on the world-class level, especially after the war. You know, it was really something special. So I think we're getting back to it. Manufacturing isn't, you know, stigmatized like it used to be. There is some really high technology stuff in manufacturing. So I'm hopeful, and I think we need to, I hope our leadership in our country are looking at these things. I'm hopeful.
Fingers crossed on that for sure. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you quickly, I'm going to ask you about your apprenticeship program as well, Scott, which I'm not sure you had. I'm going to tell you my version of my apprenticeship program, since obviously Felix is leading us by far on an actual apprenticeship program. So I got hired and I started mopping floors. That was my apprenticeship, and then I slowly worked my way into a press, and then onto a CNC machine. But there was no practice run. It was hey, take that mop, clean the floor. We got to make sure this place is clean.
Don't worry, I had to do the same Friday afternoons.
I worked weekends to make overtime, waxing the floor on the weekends. I worked with the cleaning crew. Did you have an apprenticeship?
Not really. I
No.
mean, like I said, I studied engineering, and when I was a co-op student, luckily, you know, I had some good mentors, and they'd take me out to the shop and taught me some things. And, you know, I had to measure tool wear on a gun drill for hours and hours and hours on a comparator. You know, that was kind of the first time I did anything with metal cutting as a profession, you know, so, but not really, you know, it's kind of like, well, you have a degree in mechanical engineering, you can do
You
this.
must be good at this.
You can do this.
Yeah.
So.
And that's so messed up because there
it
is such a disconnect between a person on the floor making a part and the person up in the booth that's designing something.
Yeah, but, you know, if you're around it, though, at a young age, it certainly helps.
Sure.
You know,
All of it helps.
It really helps. But so I think we could learn a lot from how the apprenticeship programs in Europe are working.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to continue a little bit on this topic before we go back to the Liebherr side of things, and that's this constant desire and need that I have to help Americans wake up to what manufacturing is and the importance of manufacturing. And Scott, I'm going to pick your brain as you grew up in the U.S., of course. How can we, as an industry, as a group of people who understand that manufacturing is the backbone of everybody's economy, it's the backbone of the world. We've seen this in places where engineering is taken as the number one position for people graduating, right? How do we as a people convey this message? Because we get stuck in two places, right? We get stuck where you're not smart enough to get into a university. That's why you went into trades, whatever it might be. You're the GED. You're the dropout. You went into this because you can't get a whatever said degree, right? Mm-hmm. And the other side of it is that these people, including yourself and including Felix, are so freaking smart that when we do talk about it, we talk about it in a way that bores the crap out of people. And they're like, now I don't care again. First, I didn't care because you couldn't get into college, and now I don't care because I don't know what you're talking about. Where's that middle ground where we can get people excited about it?
Well,
again?
I think you're doing a good job, Tony.
Well, thanks.
It takes things like that. It takes people talking about it and going to schools, you know, spending some time with kids. It's grassroots, I think. You know, nobody has the $1 million answer to that question, and you know.
I thought you would.
Oh, I wish. I only wish, but no. I think we all need to tell the story of, you know, what we do to young people. I think that's where it starts. You know, I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid, and my son was involved with it. You know, more recently. But, you know, I think, you know, anything that you can do, spending time with kids and explaining about it is a step in the right direction. And it's all of our jobs.
This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Bryson. I am the Business Development Manager for the Americas for Blaser Swiss Lube. So Blaser Swiss Lube is a cutting fluid company. We have our headquarters obviously in Switzerland, but we have our US headquarters in Goshen, New York. Dave gave me a call. He was talking about a job shop. They need help. And when they need help, we want to make sure that we as a community and as an industry are there to support them and do anything it takes to make sure that they are killing it. We want to help these smaller shops because their success is our success, right? And then you watch them grow. They buy more coolant, we're able to help them. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
I want that to be true for all of us. I want everyone to listen right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to move back into Liebherr a little bit, Felix, and I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you to try your best because English is probably your 7th or 8th language, knowing most of the Europeans I know.
Second.
Yeah, second? Okay, so English is the second, and you probably have another 8 or 9 languages. But I want you to, as vividly as possible, describe what I will see if I go to Liebherr, your neck of the woods, what Bavaria looks like, what the surroundings might look like. What I want to do is offer a teaser to people because I know you'll invite them. I know you'd love to have people come over there and check out your factory. In fact, I believe we might be taking a trip as well. And I'm going to read something real quick just from your Liebherr Gear Technology and Automation Systems page, just to introduce this as you think about this vivid description of how beautiful, because Bavaria, my favorite place in all of Germany, by the way.
Especially southern Bavaria.
Especially. It is amazing. I'm getting some Lederhosen, and I am going to join you for a beer, and we're going to climb a mountain.
Hold you to it.
Yes, we're going to do this. We are for sure doing this. So it just says, welcome to Liebherr Gear Technology and Automation Systems page. Liebherr is a family-run technology company with a broadly diversified product program. The company is not only one of the biggest construction equipment manufacturers in the world, but also offers high-quality, user-oriented products and services in many areas. And then it goes to the next paragraph. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to do the highlights. Founded in 1949. That's pretty cool. And it says the group comprises of more than 140 companies on all continents and employs nearly 50,000 staff worldwide. That's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's close to 55 right now, 55,000.
That's amazing. So this small town you grew up in the middle of nowhere, Bavaria, hosts this global footprint, and you're going to describe to me what I might see, say, maybe mid-July,
Good time.
when I come to visit
time.
you. What might I see if I stumble over to your neck of the woods?
I mean, it starts with the front entrance, right? You stand in front of Liebherr and you turn around and you look at the Alps. That's the first view.
Christian, you coming with me? You're sold on the Alps, right? He's shaking his head yes, by the way.
Nice. It's nice location, and that's most of the Liebherr factories, actually. They're in some kind of a nice, strategically set location. These factories are in really first-class locations. It's not easy nowadays, and it wasn't easy back then, finding these people that are willing to learn and learning this trade. So these are strategic set locations. But once you walk through the door, you see a first-class, manufacturing site. It's starting with our own production, our own pre-assembly. We are machining our own castings in our production in Kempten, in our factory.
Wow.
We pre-assembly all our components. We do the final assembly there. We have our software department there, our mechanical engineers, hydraulic, pneumatic. Everything is done in Kempten. So just a little teaser here. But then once you walk through the factory from the front door to the very end of our building, starting with production, pre-assembly, final assembly, our sheet metal shop, our paint booth, going through the final assembly commissioning department. Then we have a little aisle just for customer training where we have first-class machines to train our customers, and then our testing department.
Wow.
This is really unbelievable. We have, I don't even know, Scott, 15, 20 machines right now in our testing department.
Nearly one of every machine that we build, whether it's hobbing, shaping, grinding, skiving, we have it in our testing department where we can run customer trials, and also we do product development there as well.
But then we have a second building just dedicated to automation. And I think this is one of the areas where Liebherr is known, the mid to heavy duty loading and unloading of components in the machining world. If it's engine blocks, axles, heads, whatever it is. The gantry product. Then we have the pallet handling systems. Some technology solutions regarding digitalization, smart automation. We're getting into that with AI and just so you need to understand that there's two different buildings. One dedicated on gear machines, gear cutting and gear measurement, and one building just for automation.
I'm absolutely fascinated. I really need to see this, but I have to ask a follow-up question, and I think Scott might chuckle about this a little bit. I'm grateful on the Gunn Show to have a global audience and people from all over the world listening. But I would say that the highest percentage is probably here in the U.S. as my English is not very good, but it's my only language, and so I try my best to speak it, and hopefully most people understand my English. The gift and curse of most Americans is we want to do business. but we want to have fun too.
Yep.
So, wrapped around this technology center you just described, for all of my American friends who want to come see you in Germany, what kind of fun can we have in this area?
I mean, August is a good time. We have our local beer fest. Most people might know the Oktoberfest, but
What's
we have
this? What's this Oktoberfest?
It's a little beer
A
party
little one?
in Munich.
Yeah. With 20,000 of your best friends?
Something like that. But I mean, we have a so-called Festwoche. It's a 10-day beer fest. It's nice. It's local. You don't have too many tourists. It's really local. It's a trade show for local businesses from the area, carpenters, etc. So that's always a good time if you want to enjoy and party a little bit. But then in the end, I mean, in the summer you go hiking, you go biking, you go to lakes.
I like to visit there in February because I like to ski.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
you're a snow guy.
It's
That's
a
the next
fantastic
thing.
Area. I mean,
The
beautiful.
winters.
1 hour you're in big mountains in Austria. You know, it's really a nice
Yeah.
spot in the wintertime too.
I've heard the only difference between the Swiss Alps and the Austrian Alps are the price.
It's probably right.
The
Probably right.
Swiss Alps are more expensive. Same mountains.
Yeah.
That's why it's saying Austria or Germany.
All right, I want to nerd out again, Scott. Is that okay? Because you
Sure.
mentioned something just a second ago when Felix was talking about the machines that we can see when we go into the factory, right? You quickly just glazed over something that I think is important to highlight. You were like, hobbing, skiving, you went through 4 things immediately.
Yeah.
And I want the audience, much like myself, because I didn't get to manufacture gears, can you break down those 4 areas that you went over super quickly so we can all understand what
Yeah.
you've described?
Pretty easy, like I was mentioning
Thank,
before.
thank you for making me feel worse about what I just said. You said it's pretty easy, is what he just said. Pretty easy.
No.
Thank you, Scott.
It's
It's
important.
easy for us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's important, and I was describing before the cylindrical gears. So anything to make a cylindrical gear is what machines we have. So there's gear hobbing. That's like a worm to worm wheel relationship, cutting with a worm wheel. We have also shaping, cutting a gear with a gear. We have also skiving. That's kind of like a cross between the two. You have hobbing, you have shaping. Skiving is at a cross axis angle. And then we also have the gear grinding machines that are both generating grinding, looks like a hobbing process, and also profile grinding the teeth. So those are our main metal cutting, metal removal machines for making a gear. We also have metrology machines that we build in our factory in Kempton, gear measuring machines. And then, we also make the chamfer cut process or chamfering of the ends of gear teeth, either as a standalone machine or we incorporate that within the hobbing, shaping, skiving machines. So we have all those different technologies to make a cylindrical gear, basically the whole shooting match. And then Felix even touched on it. The automation is something I, as a gear guy, sometimes forget to talk about, but we also make our own automation. So nearly everything we're selling nowadays is automated. You know, even stuff that goes to Mexico or China, you know, we have automation on it. So that's an important thing that we produce our own automation at our factory in Kempton for our own equipment, and we also sell it externally to other machine tool builders. So other machine tool builders are our customer for our automation.
I'm going to ask you a ridiculously amateur follow-up question, but I'm curious. But before I get to that, you mentioned automation, and you said even Mexico and China, but China has far more automation than we do.
That's for sure.
What they're doing right now with automation is wild, and we need to catch up.
No, it's an important point. I think I stereotypically go to the place where there was cheap labor.
Right.
It was, but you're absolutely right. Automation is really what's running our business. It's so different now than when I started in metal cutting in the 90s, and probably you've seen it
Same,
too.
yeah.
You know, everything is automated, everything, the software, it's unbelievable how much easier it is to program everything. And, you know, definitely China's taken advantage of that, and in many ways, you're right, they're leaders in that stuff.
Yeah, I got a family down in Monterrey, Mexico, where they do a whole lot of manufacturing, and a lot of Mexico's been top 3 or 4 in the world in automotive manufacturing for 2 decades now, right? And I just saw where this so-called low-cost country of China is offshoring to Mexico to have manufacturing done, their automotive manufacturing done there. And I even read a report that on average, a Mexican hourly wage is $4 less per hour than the average Chinese wage.
Yeah.
So we are sitting, based on you and I growing up and being in machine shops and not seeing a lot of automation and understanding this nearshoring, reshoring, all of these buzzwords that are just flying around right now, whether it's true or not true, we hope it's true. We do need to pay attention to all of this. This is what's happening.
Very important. You're absolutely right. That's a very good follow-up question. Not at all off topic. It's really true.
Yeah, so you ready for my ridiculously amateur question? You just went over hobbing, skiving, grinding. Do you offer a machine that does all those things? And do you offer it because it's desirable, or do you not offer it because you don't need all four things? You're usually working on one of those in a shop. Describe that to me as well, because you've taken them and made them four separate components, right?
Right, and we're usually dedicating a specific process whenever we sell it. It's not like a combination of hobbing and shaping.
You're not taking one piece and doing these four things and then it ends up in a box.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the cutting forces are different, the chips are different, like between grinding and hobbing, so they're really all custom, let's say, one process machines. Although we integrate deburring and chamfering inside the machines, some secondary processes, you normally select, as a shop making gears, which is the correct one for this particular workpiece or set of workpieces.
And you link it with automation then.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's what we focus on. Individual work machines for individual processes, and then you link it with the automation.
Okay,
If you're making a gear once in a while, you can buy nowadays, 5X's milling, do one tooth at a time, very slowly. That's not normally our customers. Our customers are people who are making gears that fit in your hand, all the way up to big 60-foot diameter gears, very production oriented.
Fernanda, English or Spanish, totally up to you. What has been your favorite part of IMTS? And I probably just spending so much time with everyone here, right?
I think that my favorite part of IMTS is to get to see everyone, to get our team reunited in here, and all the technology that we have seen. I wish I could walk around more, but we have had so many commitments with our clients, with our audiences, that I wish we had more time to go out and see what's going on in all the halls. I didn't have time to visit the North Hall at all this time. So I really, really wanted to see a couple of friends over there with their technology, but the South building with all the machine tools has been amazing to see, and I really enjoy it.
So when you describe this, Felix, in my head, I immediately go to what I know about Liebherr, and that you guys make more than gear machines. You're in several countries around the world making all sorts of different products.
Yep.
And each facility is dedicated to a product.
Yes.
It almost sounds to me like each machine is dedicated to a said operation. Then you add automation and you connect all these pieces where desired or required.
Yeah.
So everything's focused.
Yes, and that's how it started. I mean, after World War II, Mr. Liebherr realized we need to build up Germany and needed a tower crane. For that, you need a slewing gear for the mobile cranes. So he decided to build his own machine, and that's how it started with the gear cutting business at Liebherr. So yeah, we have these different earth-moving, mining, appliance products, our products, the gear cutting and measuring machines. We have the automation, but yeah, you're right. It's dedicated to individual facilities, markets, processes that we are working on and providing service for our customers for, products and services.
Well, I'm going to do a real quick grind my gears from Family Guy, which is, it is going to relate. I promise it's going to relate. We'll eventually get there. A full circle of chaos before we get there, but we're going to get there. So I recently went down to Miami and ate at Hell's Kitchen, and it was delicious. I mean, amazing. And also I went over to Boca Raton Mall and did a little shopping and went to a restaurant that was above average, pretty good. The difference between the two menus was Hell's Kitchen had about 4 items I could select from appetizers, entrees, and desserts. And this other place had a book and was like, we could do everything great. We do Spanish food, Italian food, Mexican food, American food. And it was just average. So to the point of it, this is why I think Liebherr is the leader in the world when it comes to gear making, is because you stay focused. Yeah. You're not trying to make everything for all people. You're saying, we're here, and if you want to win, and if you want to be the best at what you do, you contact us, and we'll help you do it.
Yeah, we are one independent company within the Liebherr group.
Right.
There's 11 divisions, and we're one of them. And we have, locations throughout the world. Obviously, our headquarters in Kempton, but we have our location in Saline, Michigan. We just opened the office in Mexico. We have a factory in Brazil, India, China. We are around the world. So we're focused for the markets, in the markets, but because of Liebherr, how we are structured, independent company within the group, we also providing our own machinery to our other divisions that are using our machines to make their gears for their bearings and all these things. Aerospace, they're using our machines. The components are using our machines for all different gears that we require in our earth-moving cranes, mining equipment. So we have independent companies within the group, and I think that makes a difference, that we can operate independently and make the right decisions for the individual product and market and industry.
I guess if something goes wrong and you're making all the products for yourself as well, you'd be the first to know, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
You know how to make it better immediately.
Liebherr's a difficult customer for us.
Yeah, your own selves, right?
Exactly. No, and it's important too because it helps us grow. I mean, we do a lot of construction equipment. We're kind of like the Caterpillar of Europe. Well, it's no coincidence that Caterpillar, Deere, making the same kind of equipment in North America are our important customers. Yeah. We know how to make those gears, so yeah. We have good partnerships with someone who might be a competitor to Liebherr in a different division. So.
And it's the feedback. It's not just external customers, it's the internal customers. And it's the feedback we require to get better, to become a better machine and automation provider to the world when it comes to manufacturing, yeah.
I want to stay on this topic in the sense of customers and successes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a little bit long-winded in the question to give you time to think about what the answer is going to be. But what I want to hear from both of you, if possible, is either your favorite personal story of helping someone create success or one of your favorite partners and what they're able to do with your machines. Just describe to me something that throughout your amazing careers that you've had with Liebherr, where you've been able to support, it could even be someone who is having a major issue and you were able to service and support it overnight or something like that. Just one moment in your mind that makes your heart happy about working with Liebherr and what you've been able to provide for the people around you. Scott, we'll start with you, and Felix will move to you.
Mine's really one of my favorite things that I've done in my career at Liebherr, and probably even in my career as an engineer, was I grew up on a hobby farm. My dad had green tractors, old ones, the antiques with the 2 cylinders. And I got to work on a project with John Deere to introduce generating grinding to their factory. They were doing profile grinding, which takes a lot longer for a lot of parts. And so we worked together with John Deere to introduce the generating grinding project here in the United States. It was in Waterloo, Iowa. And they have since transferred that same technology to their other factories in Germany and in Spain. So, to work here with the American engineers from John Deere, there's like green running through my veins. It was so fun to work on that project, and I really still am good buddies with the John Deere guys today, and really, that was enjoyable.
But don't worry, I'm not going to cut you, and I'm not a vampire to make you prove that you have green in there.
Yeah, John Deere green, that's for sure.
Felix, do you have a story that makes your heart happy?
Yeah, when I worked in the testing department, I was fortunate enough, and I think it was great. It's one of the more difficult processes to understand is the gear shaping. And I had a great mentor that really taught me everything. He was really patient. After me finishing my school and my apprenticeship, he really started explaining me the entire gear shaping process from the very beginning. We went through calculations, and together with our engineering department, we developed a few cool features that are still used on our machines. So I always was this gear shaping guy. And once I moved to the US, we had an electrical shaping guide machine installed at a aviation supplier, and that was kind of my baby, the electrical shaping machine LSE, and I was able to install this machine. We had a couple issues with I remember to this day, we had a couple issues going from cam track to cam track that for some reason the offset wasn't lined up. But because of the skill set and everything that my mentor at the time taught me, we were able to find the mistake that we had, and we could fix it within a couple days, basically, getting a new cam shaft, and was able to fix that problem and making our customer happy, and being able that he was able to provide parts to his customers again that are used for all kinds of aviation products. So the gear shaping, the electrical shaping guide machine is one of my favorite stories.
I love it. I appreciate both of you guys sharing those stories for sure. I want to thank you for something real quick, and we're going to play games in just a minute. But before we play games, I'm going to give you each a minute to 3 minutes of a closing statement. It could be anything you want to talk about. It could be yourself. It could be manufacturing as a whole. It could be what we need to do throughout the world or the U.S. It could be another story if you want to share it, or it could just be whatever closing statement about the company. Totally up to you. But just if I haven't asked you a question and there's something you wanted to share today that I haven't asked, it's that moment to take that opportunity. But the first thing I want to thank you for before we move into this game is I've noticed both of you drinking with your right hand and then turning the cup back around to showcase
that was a podcast thing.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. You're showing off my logo, but you're drinking with your right hand and then turning it back around to brand for me. I love you both for that. Thank you so
Branding.
much. Yeah,
Branding is everything, right?
But you've been paying. Most people don't pay attention to that. You guys are brilliant. I hope that was a good enough joke and time to help you think about a nice closing statement. Scott, we'll start with you again, and Felix will finish with you.
Probably you've got the message from here that we're really gear guys, and for sure we like to work with customers in North America on any kind of gear project. Like I said, parts that fit in your hand, all the way up to big diameter gears. Please come to us. We have good application experts, not only in Germany, but our office in Michigan. So, any kind of project you might have that you need to make teeth, please think of Liebherr. We know what we're doing, and we have pretty decent products for making gears.
Only 75 years in business.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Felix?
I mean, when we talked about this podcast, you told us this is really about humanizing manufacturing, right? And besides the point that Scott just made about who we are at Liebherr, the skill set we have, the experience we have in all different industries, automotive, aviation, marine, defense, whatever it is, yes, we have the experience. But I think what's important for the audience that you're trying to catch here is be open to do something new. Don't be afraid of maybe trying something that you're not 100% certain of doing. I can just speak of myself. I mean, I was in my early 20s, and I basically traveled and left Germany with 2 suitcases and started a new life and had to start in a new country, new mentality, new culture, and start, I don't want to say from zero, but I had to start from scratch again in a new part of the world, and just be open to do something new. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Learn from the mistakes and move on. And I think just try to do something. And if you're interested in manufacturing and in whatever kind of manufacturing it is, just try it out to determine if it's something for you. If you're starting out your career and you have an interest for a certain area, try it out. I mean, if you realize after 1, 2, 3 years it's not for you, it is still an experience that will be important for the rest of your life. And that's the message I want to send. Be open to try something else, and you only will learn from experiences.
I am here in Mexico today at Expo Santa Fe because we're going to talk TECMA. Now, TECMA is the trade show here in Mexico to attend. If you're going to attend only one show in Mexico this year, attend TECMA. And why is that? Well, we have this big conversation about nearshoring and reshoring right now, right? Well, Mexico is the backbone for the infrastructure that we might currently be lacking in the U.S. to have that support here in Mexico. Will now take place from June 18th to June 20th at Expo Santa Fe, Mexico City. If you're gonna bring your significant other, we want them to be able to go shopping, and this is a very familiar, comfortable area. You can go shopping, enjoy yourself, there's restaurants everywhere, and safety is key. Here, you have no problems. Christian, is it okay for me to rip this 4th microphone off over here so that Felix can drop it? Because he just did a mic drop moment, and I don't have a microphone to give him. Can I rip it right off? Yeah? Where do we got?
Right behind you, the golden one.
You can drop that. You just, and it's a golden mic drop moment for sure. Thank you for sharing that. You guys want to play some games?
Sure.
Why not?
Would you rather? We're playing Would You Rather because Felix already told me that he's a terrible liar and he doesn't want to play 2 truths and a lie. So I'm okay with that because I'd never get it right anyway. So you could be a terrible liar and I'd still get it wrong, and I'm okay with not embarrassing myself today. So Would You Rather is kind of the thought-provoking questions that are industry-related, designed to be fun, of course, and it's kind of 2 competing ideas and making these folks kind of decide which side of that fence they'd rather be on. And I have a few topics. It's all for gears today because I I have the internet, and I typed into ChatGPT, give me some questions, about 5 minutes ago, so it's completely gear related. But I have a few topics. So general gear manufacturing questions, technology and tools, manufacturing challenges, business and career. So who wants to go first? Felix,
Sure.
You've been nominated. Whether you like it or not, you've been nominated. So I'll go through them again now that you know you're first. Business and career, manufacturing challenges, technology and tools, or general gear questions?
Say it again.
General gear questions, technology and tools, manufacturing challenges, or business and career?
Business and career.
All right. So 31 through 40, pick a number.
Okay.
Pick 31 through 40, any number in between there, 31 through 40.
33.
33 it is. Would you rather prioritize cost-saving measures or sustainability in your gear production?
It goes hand in hand.
It does go in, but you got to pick one.
Sustainability.
Ah, that's very European of you. You're much greener than we are. All right, let's go for another one. Pick another number between 31 and 40.
40.
Would you rather... Woo, that was a fun noise. What was that, Christian? Coffee machine is waking our asses up. Oh, my goodness.
There might be some gears in it.
There might be some gears. You better go check on those gears. It sounded funny. All right, number 40. Would you rather be known for your precision or your speed in gear production?
Precision.
I knew that was going to be
it has to be.
that's too easy. That was too easy. Of course it's precision. You can make rubbish real fast if you want to. Yeah, we're not doing that. All right, pick one more and we'll slide over to Scott.
35.
35 it is. Would you rather have a career designing industrial gears or gears for high-performance sports cars?
High performance.
I knew that was coming too.
Actually, in the preparation, there was one question that could have come up today in this podcast, and it was about what movie do you have in mind?
We prep for this? I don't remember prepping for this.
We asked for it because that's the German in me. But I thought about Ford versus Ferrari.
It's a good movie.
And I think that I like cars. And there's a lot to it to build these cars. And there's gears in it. And of course, it's the precision, it's the power to really push everything to the final limit. So therefore, that must be my answer.
That's a great movie
Yeah.
too. Great
Yeah.
movie. Great
Yeah.
name drop.
Yeah.
So we've learned you like to travel, you like cars, and you like to hit people.
This was in my early years.
Yeah, I was much more trouble in my teenage years. Now I just want to hug people, but the time changes all things.
Yep.
All right, Scott, let's move over to you. Do you remember the categories? Shall I read them again?
Technology and tools.
Technology and tools it is. All right, 11 through 20. Pick a number 11 through 20.
19.
19. Would you rather learn to operate a Liebherr machine? Oh, actually, we're going to skip this one because there's some competition in here.
Oh, okay. No,
We don't want to talk about the competition
Not
in here.
necessary. No, not
Skip that one. What's next?
Go for 18 then.
Let's see. Would you rather troubleshoot machine tool vibrations or misalignment in the final assembly?
Machine tool vibrations, I would say.
I
'Cause
w-
there's some good tools available in the market for that that we do with our software. So.
Vibrations, I think, are fun too.
That's the nerd in him.
yeah.
Well, and especially nowadays with the EV stuff, that's really an important topic. How we check the waviness on gears and can monitor during the gear grinding process if
so
there's
important.
any vibrations like that, because you can inspect the gear and it always looks the same, but some cause noise.
Yep.
And so this is really, let's say, state-of-the-art technology, what we've developed, and yeah, it's pretty common in industry, especially for EV applications.
Vibration, if you're having, vibration, everything lessens if there's vibration. Your tool life, your part quality, your cycle times, when you have vibrations issues.
But even to the point where if like a ball screw starts to wear out
Yeah.
after years
Yeah.
of production, that you can catch it, if it's putting an error onto the part before you're even inspecting it. We have the tools to do that in our digitization.
But you talked earlier about electrification, Scott.
Yeah.
And I think I remember, I don't remember where it was, but I remember someone said, with this electrification, we won't need gears anymore. But we still need gears, even in these electrical cars. But maybe the volume is changing, but the quality is increasing.
that's
So
for sure.
the quality requirements are much at a different level now.
Christian, can you hear your gears running in your Tesla? I hope not.
he says no.
A lot of those are ground
But
on our machines,
it's
so
still-
I was
yeah.
hoping he was going to say no.
Yeah, Liebherr makes Tesla. We're learning that right now. Got it. All right, pick another one, Scott. 11 through 20, or a different category. Up to you.
No, go for 11.
11. Would you rather program a 5-axis machine or troubleshoot a gear hobbing machine?
Troubleshoot a gear hub.
Yeah, obviously,
I don't know enough about the 5-axis.
That's
stuff,
too
you know.
easy. We may as well not even
Softballs.
count that one. Give me another
Softballs.
one. Yeah.
Unlucky 13.
Oh, 13 is lucky in most cultures, actually. We have demonized it because I think it's supposed to give us power.
Maybe the French did that. I'm not sure, but
Well, whoever's out there in France, we're not going to throw you under the bus right now because we did just eat breakfast at a French restaurant. It was pretty good. Yeah.
fantastic.
We won't blame you for everything, just not showing up on time. 13. Would you rather rely on CAD or CAM for your gear design process?
I'm a guy from the 90s, so I would say CAD.
I'm a 90s guy too.
Yeah.
Christian's the young one here. Him and Felix, they're both, they're 20s. All right, I'm going to give you one more, and we're almost done. You guys have done amazing today. Give you one more, and then you guys are both off the hot seat. We'll go get some tequila, and we'll call it a day. Wait, is your company allowed to know that we're...
Be careful.
This is a
Tim, be
company
careful.
podcast,
Yeah,
right?
We're gonna be off the clock.
Let them know. It's the evening. We're off the clock. All right, last one. Pick 11 through 20.
20.
That was... Did I already do that one? No.
No, I don't think
We
so.
did not. Would you rather prioritize balancing or surface finish in gear production?
Surface roughness.
Yeah?
That's really important for the gear grinding process. And that has to do with, one of the things we always stay away from is the grinder burn. Whenever you burn teeth, normally most gears are made from steel and hardened with the carburizing process, and you can affect the case depth if you have the wrong surface roughness, which leads to grinder burn. So
You're the man. You're both the men. The amazing. I couldn't come up with a dad joke in time. I'm sorry, guys.
Time to finish.
Yeah. Thank you both for being here. We really appreciate you. Christian, it's so good to spend time with you again. Thanks for having us in the studio. And for everyone who's joined us, new or a returning veteran at this point, we hope we've brought enough value to your time. Time is the one thing we cannot manufacture more of. Although time pieces, there's gears in there too. And we definitely make those. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you.